The story of Onesimus is one of transformation, redemption, and unexpected grace. His journey from a runaway slave to a brother in Christ is one of the most powerful yet often overlooked narratives in the New Testament. In the Roman world of the first century, slavery was a deeply ingrained institution. Slaves were considered property, and their masters had complete authority over them. Some slaves held prestigious positions as teachers, doctors, or accountants, while others worked in fields, mines, or households. Onesimus was one such slave, belonging to a wealthy Christian named Philemon, who lived in the city of Colossae. Although Philemon was known as a faithful follower of Christ, Paul himself referred to him as a beloved friend and fellow worker in the gospel. He, like many affluent Romans, owned slaves. Onesimus, however, was dissatisfied with his position. Perhaps he felt mistreated, or perhaps he simply longed for freedom, as many slaves did. What we do know is that he made a fateful decision. He ran away. Escaping from a master in the Roman Empire was dangerous. Runaway slaves were considered fugitives, and if caught, they could face severe punishments, including branding, beating, or even death. To survive, many sought refuge in large cities, where they could disappear into the crowds and find work under false identities. Rome, the largest and most cosmopolitan city in the empire, was a common destination for runaway slaves. Onesimus, after fleeing Philemon's household, may have stolen from his master to fund his journey. Paul's letter to Philemon hints at this possibility when he writes, "If he has done you any wrong or owes you anything, charge it to me." If Onesimus had indeed taken something from Philemon, it would have added another layer of risk to his flight. He was not only a runaway, but also a thief. Somehow in the vast metropolis of Rome, Onesimus encountered the Apostle Paul, who was under house arrest awaiting trial before Caesar. Whether by chance, divine providence, or through mutual connections in the Christian community, their meeting would change Onesimus's life forever. Paul, despite his imprisonment, continued his ministry, preaching the gospel to all who would listen. Onesimus became one of those listeners. Perhaps at first he was skeptical. He had served a Christian master, but had not found fulfillment or freedom. But as he spent time with Paul, something within him began to change. Paul taught him about Jesus, the true master who came not to be served, but to serve, and who offered a freedom greater than any earthly liberty. Onesimus became a believer. His heart was transformed, and he began to serve Paul willingly, no longer as a slave, but as a fellow worker in the gospel. Paul grew to love Onesimus like a son, referring to him in his letter as my child, whom I have begotten while in my chains. This language was significant. Paul saw Onesimus not just as a servant, but as family. However, there was still the matter of Onesimus's past. Under Roman law, he was still Philemon's property. Paul, valuing both integrity and reconciliation, urged Onesimus to return to Colossae and face his master. This would have been a terrifying prospect for Onesimus. He had no way of knowing how Philemon would react. Would he punish him? Would he be angry? Paul wrote a personal letter to Philemon, entrusting Onesimus to deliver it himself. In the letter, Paul made a bold request, not only that Philemon forgive Onesimus, but that he receive him no longer as a slave, but better than a slave, as a dear brother. This was a radical statement in a society where slavery was a deeply entrenched institution. Paul was calling Philemon to view Onesimus through the lens of the gospel, where all believers are equal in Christ. Paul did not demand Philemon's compliance, but appealed to his Christian love. He even offered to personally repay any debt Onesimus owed, saying, "If he has wronged you in any way or owes you anything, charge it to my account." This echoed the heart of the gospel itself, Jesus paying the debt of sinners so they could be reconciled to God. The Bible does not explicitly tell us how Philemon responded, but there is strong reason to believe that he granted Paul's request. First, Paul was confident that Philemon would do the right thing, even hinting that he expected him to do more than what was asked. Second, Onesimus later became a respected leader in the early church. Historical sources suggest that he eventually became the bishop of Ephesus, leading the church in one of the most important cities of early Christianity. Some scholars believe that it was this same Onesimus who helped preserve and compile Paul's letters, ensuring that they were passed down to future generations. The story of Onesimus is one of transformation. He began as a runaway, a thief, and a fugitive. Through Christ, he became a brother, a leader, and a testament to the power of the gospel. His journey demonstrates that no one is beyond redemption. No matter how far one has run, God's grace can reach them. Just as Paul interceded on behalf of Onesimus, Jesus intercedes on behalf of all sinners, offering reconciliation, not just with others, but with God himself. The story of Onesimus challenges us to consider the nature of true freedom. While Roman law still saw him as a slave, the gospel declared him free. In the same way, the world may place labels on people based on their past, but in Christ they are made new. Onesimus' story serves as a reminder that even the most unlikely individuals can be used for God's glory, and that in his kingdom, the last shall be first, the slave shall be a brother, and the outcast shall be welcomed home.